And we are on.
Hey, welcome.
Welcome
everyone.
to the Grief Chat. Yeah.
Yeah. Yay. How was your week?
I only put in 2 days at the office and then, at the virtual office. And then I spent 1 day just getting projects done. So now I'm in beautiful Central California, and we're traveling with our bleach bottle. And we're spending a little time with just 2 people who have been bubbled themselves. So good to go. We're going to go enjoy the sights of the Central Valley. We're within a stone's throw of Sequoia.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're not seeing the fires from Estes Park, are you?
No, not from Estes Park. Those folks are getting.
Okay, wonderful.
Oh my gosh, yesterday was horrible. Yeah.
Horrible.
Mm-hmm. How was your week?
I just had to go with the flow. I was reading about the international grief conference, sort of looking at what we could present and if the stuff I do. And I thought, is an ambiguous loss when you can't work the computer, but the stuff has to be done? Is that ambiguous?
I think that's pretty specific.
So, but just like anything, I decided, well, if I'm not going to be able to learn it right now, I'll do what I can in the other stuff. So I'm really excited, and I hope to advertise it here, my 13-week, 2 hours a week grief class on, and it's healing consciously. And
I like that.
Thank you. And the main reason I feel so excited about this is sort of like when you learn to do a conference, you learn one, teach one, and then they can do one. And that way, I'm putting out more death education into the world and grief education that can alleviate suffering for just a bit. Yeah. You can't fix grief, but you can alleviate it for the moment.
And it doesn't have to feel like suffering all the time.
No. And
that frame is just so terrible.
Grief is a very mindful practice.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, you have to be in the moment. It's not you have to. It will make you be in the moment.
Right, it pulls you right in.
It pulls you right in. And so that's one of the things. But I wanted to talk about this article I read in one of the thanatology sites. And it has to do with, what do you keep that is meaningful, like an article of clothing, to make you feel better? And while you're mourning, many people, of course, with animals or pets, they will keep the collar and maybe put it around something, or but technically people don't wear collars. And
most of them.
Most of them. Okay, there are exceptions to everything.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, So I remember it wasn't something that my dad wore, but I had, and I still have, his glass cutter, because he was a glazer, and he died very suddenly when I was 14. And so that was 1970.
And that's something you identify as part of him. Mm-hmm.
So I have that,
Right.
And my mom, when she died, I have a couple things. One, I have a sweater. For the last 20 years, I still wear it when I need to. And and then I have sort of a sweaterish type thing. So I love wearing them.
Yeah.
It feels good to have that.
Mhm.
And I was just sort of wondering who out in our listening audience, or if you could share, what are some things you have from the people that have died in your life?
Oh my goodness. And this is interesting because I've had 3 people when I was teaching a grief class this last 4 weeks say independently in emails to me, I'm working with someone who's actually bordering on hoarding because they've had 3 or 4 deaths and they've had trouble distinguishing what to keep. So they've got everything. Like they just closed out the house and brought everything home. And now there's no space to walk in the garage. And then it starts to migrate into the house. And what do we do? And I'm like, you hire a professional organizer and then you work with them to let them sort stuff out and you keep that which really speaks.
Right.
So I've got like a toasting champagne glass from the day my grandparents got married.
Oh.
Right. And I didn't know my grandfather, but I have very fond memories of my grandmother. I wish I had one of my grandmother's aprons. I do not. Because that's how I remember her, is the apron. From my late wives, I have, the wedding rings, and I have a shirt from each of them that's now they're put away, but I know they're there. I made quilts for my kids with the t-shirts that my first wife wore because she had outrageous t-shirts. One of them was Lucy saying, someday a woman will be president. And I remember her buying that in like 1980 going, someday. And
I should show my political views.
Waiting.
Right.
So we've got those, it's the little things. My dad made jewelry. We would go rock hounding as a family and he would find the rough rocks and then he'd slice them and then design them and make the jewelry. I have some of those. I have a 1,400 square foot house.
Yeah, you can't keep a lot of.
No. Mm-mm.
Do you find that it's even comforting to give away parts of their clothing or objects? So it's like it goes to a good home.
Right.
And so where it is.
Right. My nephew's got my dad's bolo slides for the most part because he never wore it. From the moment he started rock hounding, there was never a tie again. Unless we were at a funeral, there was no tie, and he had one tie. So they got all the bolo slides, right?
Got it.
I do have my great-grandfather's shotgun. It's actually a work of art.
Sure. Oh, I bet it is.
It really is beautiful because I lived on the lake where they built their home, and darned if I didn't use that shotgun on a couple of cottonmouths, right? Not people, snakes, because there are snakes. So I think it's nice to share those things. I've given my kids jewelry from their mom. So Linda's precious jewelry from her mom has gone to my kids. You continue the cycle.
Yes. And usually grandchildren, like nobody wants China. Nobody wants any of that stuff. But if you can find one thing, just one little thing, to pass to a grandchild who then has a little bit of their grandmother's energy. It's almost like I'm going to use this word. I want to say psychic ancestry, but I don't want that word. Just their feelings. There's that energy that maybe grandma put into that cup, or what's another word? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's part of them coming through to you.
Yes. Right. Speaking of coming through, when my mom died, she did have a lot of jewelry. And so I cashed some of it in, some of these diamonds that were very important in the 30s as a way of currency during the Depression or the 20s. And she inherited that from her mom and dad. And then she made it into jewelry, and then I changed it up. So I have this one piece. I love rainbow wings. I always have. So the diamonds in the center and there's sapphires on these carved wings
Oh my
coming
gosh.
out. So I call it the Shirley cam. My mother's name was Shirley, and the diamond's so big. So when I wear it, like when I did my TEDx talk, I wanted my mother to see from beyond, or I go to a family reunion. And so I told everybody it's the Shirley cam, and they're all coming up to my neck. Hi, Aunt Shirley. How are you? Like they're yelling into the diamond.
Right.
It's hilarious. And I'm like, do you see, Mom? See all the relatives that are still
Everyone's
here?
here.
They're
Yes.
here. And as we joke about that, I know other stories of widows that will, when they have to do something around the house that they've never done, they will put on their husband's shirt to let them know they can do it.
Gives them a sense of strength.
Gives them a sense of strength. Other
Joining.
people, yes, and guidance. And all those wonderful feels as if the person was right there.
Right.
Another thing people can do after someone's died, like you did, take t-shirts and make a quilt, or take regular shirts and make a pillow.
Or a teddy bear.
Or a teddy bear. We talked about that before. The other thing, I just want to assure our listening audience that you're not weird or strange if after someone died, if you take a piece of their dirty clothing, right? Ziploc it, just put it in the bed with you. You know what I mean? So that you have that smell, you have that feeling. If you don't want to change the sheets and they're still decent, don't change the sheets.
And if you're the person coming in to try and help, don't change the sheets. Don't get rid of the towels. It's their turn.
That's right.
Right?
That's
so
right.
After my first wife died, I went upstairs thinking this is the first time I'm going to go up here, and there's no chance she's going to be here. And someone had very helpfully changed the sheets, washed the comforter, washed the pillowcases, gotten rid of the towels. It's like, I might have needed that right now.
Right.
Too late. And they did it out of the goodness of their heart, but too late.
But these are things to teach about.
Right.
People don't realize that. And that's some of the things I want to put into my class. And so that we can normalize, bring back whatever the religious culture is, bring back the spiritual energy culture back to life. Because we've lost so much of that working with our elders. You know what I mean?
To and we've learn lost more of it now in the pandemic because there's so much separation. People really aren't thinking that way right now.
Right. And and there's several other things I want to suggest too, that if you need to sit and meditate with their glasses, or you want to take their coffee mug in the morning. I know I had from my grandfather, I had his watch. So I wore that for a while. And I also had I had a pair of dice. He loved craps. So he had so many pairs of dice from gambling that we all got some as a grandkid.
Nice.
My grandmother, I think I still have some of her aprons, and I have some shawls she crocheted for me in the 60s and 70s. That hippie style is coming back.
It totally is.
So
we're all going to be wearing ponchos this year.
Yeah. Oh, no kidding. Yes, we are. And there's all these things that you can do to still feel, like I said, psychically close within that energy. You can't see them, but maybe you can get a sense, a memory, a feel, whatever the case may be. So I think that's important to bring up.
I might include too that if someone's thinking about their own process for when they are gone, my aunt, when she died, my dad's only sister, we were her kids. She never had a husband or kids. She had us. She left a document that left each of us a specific piece of jewelry, a specific item, a specific piece of clothing, and she told us the history of it. So I have this beautiful crescent moon pin that's, you can tell it's handmade, and it's got a star on it and a cardinal on it. And when my great grandparents got engaged, they didn't get rings. My great grandfather had that made for my grandmother, and he worked with his hands. And to me, that just speaks. So if I'm going someplace special, if I ever do a TEDx, that would probably be on my blouse, because it's that sense of history and connection.
And maybe like you, I know I have this from one of my really dear friends who had died, I don't know how many years ago. His wife had knitted him some socks that had a rainbow on the top. Mm-hmm. And so what I did is I wore them right after he died. And then they started to tatter. I still have them. I don't want to give it away. I even if it's in my sock drawer, it's fine. Mm-hmm. And that's why you sort of do have to be really careful when you're going through other people's things to help them.
Don't assume.
No.
Don't assume. I've got a tattered sweatshirt that literally has holes all over it now. Right. It used to be very nice, and it had teddy bear material that was appliqued onto it, and it had my name on it, and then it had the name Kathy on it. And Kathy was a daughter-in-law who was taking care of her elder relatives, and I was their hospice social worker. It represents her. She's long ago died, but it also represents the connection I had to that hospice and all the people I served there. And that's when I need to cuddle up with something, that's one of my cuddle uppers.
Exactly. I would cuddle up with some blankets, but my cat eats them. And so Aunt Ruth Ann made me all these blankets. But she also made me some scarves. And I guess we'll just wait and see. Yeah. I know.
They got to outlive the cat.
Exactly. Right? Oh my gosh. Yeah. So.
Well, that's cool. You're doing how many weeks is that? 12? 14?
It'll be 13 weeks. And as it gets closer, when we put it on,
we'll put it up here.
We'll put it up here, and it'll link you to this other platform that I'm working with. It's called Mighty Works. The hope. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
But it's called Mighty Works, and then our platform is Resonate. And what that is, it's like you can use it like Facebook and a couple other places in Messenger chat, but there's no ads, there's no politics. Oh. It's really good.
I'm going to be on there, but as soon as we get back from the Valley.
Okay, I will help you. I will tell you. They're running a free gratitude starting November 1st, so you can sign up for free, see how you like it, and then decide if you want to. I think it's either $1.99 or $2.99 a month.
I think that's affordable.
Yeah, and I'm still learning how to work around it. Where I'm going to be teaching is through an online school called School for Evolution of Consciousness.
Wow.
There you go. Yeah. So I highly recommend it.
Paper here when you are talking, so I can scribble things. They go every which way because I'm great. Right. Yeah. That's awesome. I'm so glad you're doing that, and it's so nice to know there's a platform. It doesn't have ads and all the stuff.
No.
You know.
No. I know.
That's awesome.
No political stuff.
That's even better. I'm so tired of it. And I'm political, but I'm exhausted.
So people are having COVID burnout. They're having, just about every
Political
kind of burnout right now.
Mm-hmm.
And ambiguous loss burnout. Speaking of what,
And we're also beginning to really, the weather's changing. We're rolling into holidays. Here in the U.S. and our side of the globe, we're chilling down. Other side of the globe, it's warming up where Christmas is on the beach typically. But everyone's aware that that means holidays are coming. And for folks who are grieving or facing losses, or that's just another ambiguous loss for them, we were just talking about it this morning, how are we going to do holidays? We're not.
And that is a big loss. As much as people complain about getting together, it's a tradition.
Right.
We need to do this. Why aren't you coming? What's wrong with you? What do you mean you have something else? Well, those arguments won't be happening.
Right.
The arguments will be like, depending on who, what do you mean this COVID is a hoax? Or, what do you mean? We're safe. Yeah, Mom, but I don't know where Aunt Susie's been with her kids, and she doesn't believe in it, and I know she's not wearing a mask because she said it on Facebook. So this is really what we're facing, and the anxiety of not living up to whatever standards you have in yourself for the holidays and whatever standards somebody else. I mean, people still have those voices in their head saying, why aren't you doing it this way?
It's the same ones that say, get out the good china when you're serving 25 people. And you should use the turkey paper plates. Right?
Yes.
And I've actually transitioned to no more china at the holidays, but now maybe this time I do get to use the good dishes because there's only going to be a few of us.
Few of you.
Even my middle child can't come because she works in a locked psych unit, and there's no way.
No.
And my grandchildren go to their other grandparents' house sometimes during the day, and they work out in the community. There's too many exposures, and I've got my elderly mom. So we've got Stacy's elderly dad. We can't do that.
As the step parent, holidays was interesting.
Same as adoptive parents, yeah.
Yes. And so one of the other parents always insisted on having a holiday on the real Thanksgiving and the real Christmas, whatever that means. And so we adjusted because my husband and I don't want to cause more stress. And then I got to thinking, I mean, we did it several different ways, but I transitioned since 2014 when I went to Japan and they sort of made a sushi, build your own sushi. So at Thanksgiving, I always had two things, either barbecue pork or Italian beef, and build your own sushi. So this year, what am I going to do? So I think I'm going to go to a good sushi place, and I'm going to deliver sushi, and I'm going to deliver Italian beef to all the houses because
you can't get together.
We're going to be indoors unless it's one of those Christmases, that is 65 degrees out. It's possible, but I'm not going to count on it.
Yeah, Christmas can actually be outdoors here, but we can't be. It's we're going to be in the height of the flu season too. When COVID really started hitting California, it was late March, early April. And one of my best girlfriends, Wendy, she and her family, there are not a lot of them, and they're spread out through Southern California. They typically do potlucks together. So everyone made their dishes, and then those who live nearby grouped them, and then they dropped the dishes on everybody's doorstep. So everyone had the same meal.
Right.
Just like you. And there were probably 6 households involved.
There will be,
But they potlucked it. Yeah, you leave your dish, you pick up the dish to go. And everybody had a potluck meal. So, maybe we'll do something like that.
Yeah, because, and that's hard to do because already without COVID, without elections, people are nuts around the holidays.
Oh,
And
yeah.
at least here it gets dark early. So between the cold and the dark, people are like, "Grr."
Yeah.
And now we're hyping two other things on it. And
keeping the same crazy expectations.
right. So how do you
Right?
let go of expectations
In-N-Out
at a
burger. That's how
time?
you do it.
Say again. What did you say?
In-N-Out burger.
In it. I was going to say drugs, but maybe I shouldn't say that on here.
Wine.
But
You know, that too. And we've got a kid who just announced she's moving, so our youngest will be in Kansas City by the time the holidays start.
oh my
So
gosh.
she'll be long gone. So we'll do maybe a phone call. But yeah, that's what they're supposed to do. It's an ambiguous
right.
loss. They're supposed to
Yes,
get
it
out and
is.
get going. She just chose a big leap. That's hers
Right.
to do.
It's hers to do.
And we'll support it.
I left home for college, and so did my brother. My brother moved to the very end of the state, and I moved to the very middle of the state. So we started meeting at our house at Thanksgiving. And you know, Thanksgiving after my mom died was a really hard holiday. And like I said, part of the step family thing, nobody understood how I felt since everybody else had their moms.
Right.
You know, all the adults.
And you didn't have any.
So what I did, and this is why I'm saying, and I want listeners to be able to feel comfortable taking that risk to change it up. Because what I did with my daughter, I talked about it with her and said, nobody really understands how it feels to lose your grandma. And so how about we volunteer at the high school and do that? And that'll be our tradition for as long as it lasts. And then we can go over. And she goes, I like that, Mom. And at first, my husband didn't understand, but jump ahead about 6 years.
He's got it.
He understood.
Yeah.
So
I used to always hold all of the holidays. And then when my second wife died, it was right after Thanksgiving. And we had a Thanksgiving where she wasn't eating or drinking. And we sent the kids out for a meal because I didn't want to have the food in the house. And when Stacy and I got married, she's like, why do we have to why don't we just go to Laughlin? Let's go to the river. So until this year, we've been at the river every Thanksgiving and not done any of the traditions.
Right.
And the only thing I miss are leftovers.
Do you know one of the things we did start doing, once again because of step family stuff, I said, why don't we we did this for about 10 years. It was leftover Friday or leftover Saturday, and we would have people come over, bring their leftovers. We'd usually have a turkey, and then everybody would share. Because as a momming type of person, as a mom, I wanted it on the regular day. But in Step Familyville, you have to be very flexible for the sake of your children. And so we were, and we had a blast. We just make up new holidays.
Right. My middle daughter has maintained relationships with her birth family because we got her at age 16. And so she's still got those folks. And so when we first adopted her, I said, look, you pick your holiday. And if you want to go be with them, no harm, no foul. They've had you all these years. I'm second.
Yes.
And now she's married and she's got his family. So us exiting on Thanksgiving gave her the leeway to either establish her own or go to one of the other two. The one thing I did say was Christmas Eve is mine. I get Christmas Eve, but during the day, so you can go home and have all the Christmas stuff at night, right?
We have Christmas Eve morning, and then they can stay as late as they want. And then usually we wind up going to somebody's church, whatever. And it's fun. I make a Christmas Eve breakfast, and it's wonderful. People like to just stack up the ham, stack up the bacon.
Out. Yeah.
Well, everybody comes over in their jammies.
Nice.
Or very relaxing stuff. So every year the kids usually they go to Bubby's house in their jammies, seriously, and then watch cartoons after paper flies,
We may have to do that this year, because I may have to do that this year. We've always done a smorgasbord because Nordic.
Yeah.
So
yes, exactly.
Everything gets put out by noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then I don't serve. Everybody kind of flits in and flits out.
Right.
And we can enjoy who comes and miss who doesn't, and that's okay.
And our neighbors next door, every year, they don't have family till later. They used to when they were younger. They come to our house because we didn't have anybody. Oh, my daughter would come here. She'd stay overnight one more day and then go to her dad's. But our neighbors come every year. I used to have a pot of coffee with alcohol that you could pour in it. And we have breakfast. They make the pancake mix. We do the wet ingredients. And then we have leftover ham and bacon. Well, there's never leftover bacon, but there's leftover ham from the day before.
Yeah.
Because everybody goes to the Jew's house to have the best ham.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of ambiguous losses, when the family we grew up next door to, whose house we now own, moved probably 10 minutes away, but they were our next doors, and we're still next doors, and that's how we refer to each other. And every Christmas night now we get together. We still sing Christmas carols together and eat a little bit of leftover dessert and hang out. And now it's the grandchildren who are the ones playing the piano for us. Thank goodness. And I'm sure relatively soon it'll be great grands, because some of the grands are now much adults. But that was an ambiguous loss that became part of a tradition, and we've made that ambiguous loss part of the identity of everyone. You can do that with ambiguous losses.
You can give it a new identity and a new paradigm around it.
Right.
So
now we should probably tell people we've got Halloween coming up, but we also have the holidays. So start thinking about if you've had people who've died this year, moved away this year. I've got a kid moving away. How are you going to honor that person's place at your table? And if you're not going to have a table, how are you going to honor those who aren't there, whether they're not there because they died or they can't be there because of COVID? How do you include those? What are we going to do with that?
Maybe our next talk next Friday, we can come up with some ideas for that. And until then, people can send them to us too. Tell us what you did.
And maybe we'll go on Pinterest to come up with some terrible craft for everyone to have to do together.
I've got plenty of them.
Turkeys made out of pine cones. Remember those?
Oh my gosh. Oh,
yes.
I'm not even going to go into all of them. But one of the things I will say is for the older kids, if you buy those gingerbread houses or gingerbread stuff, if you can get Halloween decor, candy decor now at 90% off or whatever, then you let them build zombie houses.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, we had that.
Okay, now let me one up you. Instead of those things, we do Rice Krispie houses.
Yes.
A zombie Rice Krispie house would.
Oh, do you have a photo sometime?
I do.
All right.
You basically just make cookie trays of the stuff, and then you cut them together. You do need toothpicks to hold them together.
Oh, yeah. But,
people actually eat Rice Krispies. Just a thought.
I love it.
We'll talk about it next week, because next week will be right before Halloween on a Saturday that nobody gets to trick or treat out here.
Yeah, we get to put it outside. However, they have to take it. we cannot hand it to them.
We will
Yeah.
probably do some kind of table because we just went into our highest level of lockdown in my county. So we aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, that might be happening soon.
We can play thriller and watch semi-scary movies and still enjoy it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jill.
I will see you next week, and I'll be back at home. And everybody be safe, please. Don't put yourselves at risk.
No, wear masks, stay safe, vote early.
Yes,
vote early.
Not often, just once.
Yes, please, just once.
Just once, but get your ballot in there, okay?
Right. All right, dear.
Next week, dear. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye, hon.